So, long time no see, it's been over a month. I just took time off to kind of just touch grass for a bit, just kind of deload. I really shouldn't since it's not good for like TikTok algorithm or like the YouTube algorithm, but I really don't care. Um, you know, I really should get back into drawing more. I took up skateboarding, so that's cool, but trying to kind of distract my mind off the phone. It's as much as I can. Okay, so like touching grass, I'll be honest with you, it just felt synthetic. Like no matter what, like even like I put the phone away just for like music at the gym, sure, whatever. Because gym music sucks. They put on some stupid remix. I don't like it. I just want to listen to my music, right? But whenever I take off the headphones, people in like my generation, right? The only thing they will talk about are like politics, especially about like right or left. What's going on now? Gender wars, any TikTok clips that went viral, black pill or any type of looks maxing, and pretty much pretty much all of that. That's like the only thing that like people from my generation, those are the only subjects that people will talk about. When I talk to someone like outside of my generation who's a bit older, they're a bit more present and like away from the phone, right? Granted, they're aware of the politics and stuff like that, but that's mostly come from the news, not from like TikTok. Like, especially with my generation, I like to call it like TikTok brain. Like we don't really have so much of, I wouldn't say original ideas, but like we don't think for ourselves as much. We just think like what the masses think for most of the time. What's popular, what's the popular take, what's with all that. That's what usually people think. Right. And for me, who's someone who's like ND, neurodivergent and stuff. I can just pick up on things very differently. I have to study people so I can just kind of like mask myself so I don't be socially ostracized, which is hard for me because like sometimes I just go on rants and I just go full autism. Like every time I talk, if I get carried away, that's like me being like full autism, right? I have to be aware of that because it's rare. It's rare to find someone who's also like thinks like me or has the same condition as me, and that's especially hard for dating. But that would be another video if I put it out if I want to. It's very lonely, I mean, very kind of very isolating. I know like only two people who I consider like friends in my gym. I have their numbers. They are not online on TikTok, and I just feel kind of relieved about that. But each time, like when I'm alone, each time it's just TikTok clips. TikTok clips. It's just like what, people there just talk about it. It is what it is at that point, and it's like in my case, like I was out of the loop for so long. I don't even know what's going on. Just recently, I just found out about the attempt on the president of the United States and stuff. Um, like of Clav being like out of streaming, like kind of like all that. So I've been like out of the loop for like pretty long. Recently now it's this like 25 me, which is about the Hulu. In short term, I don't know. Allegedly, I don't really know. People say it's true. I don't really know. It's just he paid $25 for CP, something like that. And then like people are just making fun of that, and they're not taking it seriously because he's more conventionally attractive, which is kind of dark. Like if you're conventionally attractive, basically you can do anything you want. Like the consequences are lower, and you won't be socially ostracized as much. Funny enough. Okay, the other part is that since we're so absorbed in our phones, right? It kind of controls our life. Even like people say, touch grass, go outside. The thing is, the phone is the grass now. The phone is the grass. The grass is synthetic. It's not real. It's not real. It's all AI. Those are the things people only really talk about. No original conversations. Just points, clips, and that's stuff. That stuff. I'm just waiting until like a person says this as a diss that your maxilla is recessed and you go get a bilateral maxillary osteotomy as a roast. I'm just waiting until that happens. It would be funny. I would be laughing my ass off. I'll be honest because at that point we just denigrated as a society that I'm just like, you know what? Let's push this further. I'm an accelerationist, so you know what? Why not? Okay, and the bad part is, yes, like we have social media, we can connect to other people, right? I suppose you heard this like so many times before that like we're so isolated, but when we try to socialize without our phones, we are being ridiculed. For example, some people want to socialize in the gym. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure, I'm more of a type of person to like want to get my workout over with, but like since I have the tism, like I can like talk about so much and like lose track of time and be inconsiderate to someone who just wants to work out, right? So for me, it's a different situation. But if someone wants to be social, it's fine. Like if they catch me in the middle of my workout, I wouldn't be mad. Like even if like rapping out in the middle of like the working sentence of the rest of it, I wouldn't be mad because sometimes that happens and it's okay. As people say, they're not there to make friends. They're not there to socialize. Like even in college, they would say the same thing, and they just want to be alone. In that regard, being alone, it depends on the definition and like on what the person is saying, right? Being alone as for like a mental break from other people, fine. I get that. I need to be alone too. But the thing is, when people talk about being alone, they just want to be they just don't want to make friends. They just want to be the that wolf meme. They just want to be that. And you have to realize it's like it's kind of sad. I'm just trying to be more social with people, even with my like disability and stuff. It's just kind of like I'm not trying to be alone. I'm trying to socialize. But when I want to be alone, I just state that fact. But the other part is that like our economy and people need to work and stuff, so it's just like that's also another aspect too. I believe loneliness is kind of self-inflicted, but that's due to a reaction towards something in the past, kind of like trauma, to a lesser degree. I'm not saying like people with like traumatic experiences are like comparable to someone who's just trying to be alone now. That's just not it. But I have to state that just to make my point clear. And so this is from what I see. Let's take the male loneliness epidemic. Some of them have like misogynistic takes. Some of them just hold women accountable for their actions. Right. Those are just reactions from what they see on social media, from their life experience and stuff. I mean, basically like for their own self protection. Right. Like because no one wants to be taken advantage of. You feel like a sucker. And then I'm also like very careful from who I pick and who I see. So that's why I kind of like to observe a lot. No one wants to be in that situation. I have been in that situation. That's why I'm careful around people. One, and especially with the opposite sex because well, commonly people are straight, right? So I'm straight, so I will be talking about more of straight like straight person's perspective. So it's just like whatever. It happens. Opposite sex. She pretty much used me to cheat on her boyfriend without me knowing. I don't like being part of that situation. Just to let you know, I felt horrible. Left her ass. Thank God. After I found out. And you hear stories from like other guys, girls, and stuff. So this will kind of also, if you don't have any experience in that regard, will also put your guard on edge. Especially if you're inexperienced, because you don't want to also you don't want to be taken advantage of. Especially if it's gonna be your first time and you wanted to make it special, right? If you're like that, if you're like that, it's definitely more so of us being less empathetic in a way. I don't, well, empathetic, sympathetic. I should say sympathetic because empathy just comes from a place of experience, and sympathetic, it's more of a, that's more of a feeling. Right. Feeling of sadness or regards to another person. Because it's kind of funny, in a dark way, that like someone on TikTok posts their vlog day, going to a restaurant, and she said, "Oh, someone was dying. Show the police there," and then took a selfie with I don't know her husband or her date while the police cars were in the background. Me personally, I was dying laughing, not because of like of the person suffering, but mostly like of the regard that we're losing so much empathy, and this is the new norm. So I was dying laughing. Like antisocial behaviors are becoming the norm. If you don't know anybody, don't talk to anybody, kind of like that. Trendy to be antisocial. I just think it's kind of corny, in my opinion. I would say like find your clique, find the people that you trust, and try to like be more social. Especially like I'm an introvert, so I like my alone time, but I have to kind of maintain these friendships. That's by going out with them, spending more time with them, because the grass is only green where you water it. So you have to spend a lot of time and effort into friendships. Like giving, is very hard nowadays. I think he agreed. Now it's only about like how much can we take from the other person, because if the more that we take, the more we win, so that becomes more transactional. And then I see like people like not giving effort back, and then that causes the reaction of being antisocial, careful with other people, gender wars and stuff. It's kind of like this feedback loop. And then people are going to be more careful, and then when they do find a person to try to be friends with, they're going to see how much could they take from that other person. I also think due to our phones, well, the IQ is going down. This is like my generation is like the first generation to have IQ points go down, and then it also gives the prevalence of, I would say, bird brain. But I guess we tend to hold character in less value. I think higher IQ people, from what I see, and me myself, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not like I have an IQ of 115. That's pretty. That's high end of average. So I'm like average to high end. If I were to read more, I'll probably getting like 5 to 10 more IQ points, right? But I also like math myself and kind of play dumber. So when I math myself, I kind of try to go for IQ of like 95 or 90 degrees, and 90 degrees of like a right angle IQ. You know what I mean? So that's like when I try to socialize and math myself. So I play dumber when I math myself. But speaking of like IQ lowering, that kind of brings more of a topic of us being more biased towards looks, more instead of character, because I do like someone's character more than their looks. I'm not like disregarding the importance of looks, importance of attraction. I believe beauty is more objective. Attraction is more subjective, because my attraction can go either way towards character, towards like some physical features that they have, right? That I find more attractive. But then beauty, I can say I would be dating someone, but I would think that other person is more beautiful. Doesn't mean that I would cheat with the person that I'm dating, because for me that's like that's just against character. That's how I see it. But there's people that could have a different look to it, and that's fine. I don't really care. I'm just rambling on for the most part. And then being that the case that we're starting to like have a bias towards looks more, character goes down the drain. You can be a crappy person to someone, and you'll have more of a how should I say, leeway. You have more of a leeway because you're attractive compared to someone who isn't that as much as attractive as you. Because there's like this one clip as a guy that says like some corny pickup line about like a mirror, and then the line is, "Are you a mirror?" And then they say no, and then the pickup is, "Because I can see myself inside you," which is kind of gross, right? But due to him being considerably more attractive towards the female gaze, or the woman in that clip, she said ew, but it's not such a visceral reaction. She still called him cute and still giving the time of day or like her time towards him and explaining like something you shouldn't say that and stuff in a like with a good attitude compared to someone who would be less attractive in her eyes. I think she would have I think she would have had like a very different reaction. He agreed. I don't know. Sometimes I'm gonna think that life or in our society is just gonna go more downhill towards the end. Probably gonna go back, going back to making videos, but it's gonna be in this style instead. It just takes less time to edit and stuff. So I'd rather do that and just be a little bit more consistent. I have like a few other videos planned about some other topics that just accelerate the degeneracy at this point, bro.